tide rolls on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It
Force.
is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one. Welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, our wonderful producer for the night, none other than the maestro himself, the great Mr. Craig Gibson. We're coming to you live via Love 97 FM. This is Tuesday, the 2nd day of September 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, you know the deal. It's Maritime Tick, 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 tick. Matters. We encourage that if you're driving and tune in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show, same two. 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check with my little cousin Shantae McBride and a lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in downtown Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site 1on1pharmacy.com. That's a 101 Pharmacy, all one word, all lowercase, .com. The 3 locations are East Street South. When you go in there, you gotta say hi to Joy. That's my girl. She always makes sure I straight. She fix me up, boy, and she know them little tablet things inside out. She can tell you what you don't need, and it still go quick. Joy is the hardest. Then of course we got Charles Sanders Highway location in the Island Log building right there by opposite that big wash house, super wash, and they're right there for you. And again, my little cousin Silla's there. That's the one who run all the money. Silla, what's happening, honey? Oh, yeah, we used to get her. Oh, Steph got married. Steph in Freeport. Steph got married. And we were all up in Freeport doing our thing with Steph and the wedding operations and the partying operations. And let me tell you something. Boy, we had a blast. Say, hey, Silla, I tell you to call your name again. That's Ansela Hepburn, for those who don't know. That's my little cuss. All of them is my, all of these one family. That's how we roll when it comes to 101 Pharmacy and Island Care Pharmacy. So, again in Freeport, that's my big sis. That's my cousin Steph. Married woman now. Stephanie married now. I say Stephanie married. Stephanie married. Come on, let me tell you, girl. Stephanie married. Steph, don't kill me. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. It's maritime security training, maritime security audits, maritime security plans, maritime security assessments, maritime security consultancy, maritime security. That's Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. That's us. Good night, Annie Mae. Boy, my Annie Mae up in Freeport. Carrying on. Annie Mae. Oh, Annie Mae. Our number one fan is in Freeport, ladies and gentlemen. That's my good old Annie Mae. She was with us from day one, and she will be with us until day what I can say, Anime. I know you can live to be over 100. They couple thousand, anyhow. That's my Anime. She right up in Freeport, 92 years old and going strong. You know, many of you in expressing to me that you tune in and listen to Maritime Matters, but frequently ask that I tell Anime hello. And when you say that, that kind of cements the idea that you truly do listen in to Maritime Matters. Because I even know Anime otherwise. Boy, Anime is a celebrity, you know. Anime, you're easy. Well, Anime was facing some challenges this past week. She was eating a meal of boiled fish head. Boy, and she got bone right in the gum. You know this to get bone from fish bone? Boy, that ain't easy. You know, Anime gum little old now. They got 92. So she got a gum infected. And of course, that brought on a lot of pain for Anime when she won't eat. Particularly when she places in those what you call gumptions. That's my Auntie Moyne used to say gumptions. Them old people used to wear gumptions. Moyne, remember that? My Auntie Moyne is something else. That's what Auntie Moyne told me. That's gumptions, right? That's the little brace thing they make, and they space it out so it could fit in them slots where your teeth come out. But of course, Annie got a gumptions, right? And she said when she put in the gumptions, it just hurt more when she tried to eat. So I said, man, Annie, you gotta leave them out, man, because maybe they irritating infection, and well, I know doctor, but you gotta try and put one and one together. And Annie may say, boy, Glenn, I see what you're saying. I take them things out and I go on all over the place. I care what Laurie and them say to me. People look at they want see my teeth missing. That's their business, because you know ain't no shame in my game. And I mean maybe I'm like that. Ain't no shame in my guys. And make you think you young, you know. So I may feel a lot better now. Thank goodness she was able to keep them gumptions out, and she said mouth is healing up real well. So she is a strong woman, 92 and going strong as I said, you know. And she said that's your business if you don't want to see her with a little space for them missing teeth in her mouth. Cause she ain't putting in no gumptions until she know her gum is totally healed. So people, we gotta pray for my good old Auntie May, infected gum to heal ASAP, so that she can get those gumptions back in place to cover those tooth gaps. We praying for you, Auntie May. That's my Auntie May, boy. That's my buddy. Have you guys heard about the Kai Jones One Up Cup? That's what it is. One Up Cup basketball tournament slated for this Saturday at the Kendall Isaacs Gym. Well, this is kind of special to me because my little nephew, DJ, that's Don Hall. Remember Don, the DJ was in here with me once or twice last year, and he would take the mic and say hello to everybody, but DJ can't on. He's jamming in his basketball thing now. So DJ is an 8th grader at SAC. And he graced me on the show a couple times last year. He tell me he had on the basketball court. And in the summer they went away. They went to one, I think, Orlando. I don't know where DJ them went to play, and they win the championship. I said, boy, I know if you start, but if you start, you can't on. But guess what? I can see this Saturday how hard DJ really is. I already tell DJ that, you know, later on this year when I done throw off another little chunk of this belly, I could take him on the court and show him a thing or two. He think he could dance. But DJ, you too young to handle me, boy. Anyway, me and DJ could deal with that, right? And speaking of Kendall Isaacs Gym, how many of you were fortunate enough to have watched the recent CVC championships last year? That's the Caribbean Volleyball Championships right here in the Bahamas. The first time since, I think, 2014 or something like that. But we had that here, and that was off the chain, I can tell you. You know, every single game in the men's division was like a nail-biting, hair-raising experience from start to finish. That men category was so stacked with talent and so competitive. And we gotta tip our hats to our men's national volleyball team. The national men's volleyball team for such a stellar performance. You see, we got swept in the preliminaries. We lost to both Jamaica, which was our first game, and then the Suriname. That was super embarrassing, people, and awfully disappointing. You know, we All the old faithful were there all the way up to Russia Cartwright, you know, Craig Cartwright, Oral Hudson, all the fellas that's in there, Marcus and Mo Cheeks and D.I. Curtis and Gary and Mike and, well, let me tell you something, Jomo and Ryans and of course Jason was there and Kimmy and what. It was a time for togetherness. It was a time for us to dig deep and pull hard. And those guys, they disappointed us in the preliminaries, but when the playoffs start, they came alive, big time. We faced Barbados in the quarterfinals and was able to scale the insurmountable. You see, dear listener, Barbados has won this CVC competitions more than 70% of the times. So they knew that Bahamas, especially since we got sweep in the preliminaries, would be an easy win for them to advance to the semis. But our national men team was not having it. We sent those Bayesians packing. It was so serious that many of that Bayesian squad sat on the court after the game and they openly bawled. They cried their eyes. They couldn't believe it. They were in disbelief. And so we went on to face Suriname in the semi-final match. Now that's the same team that wiped us out in the preliminary and came out on top in our pool undefeated. They beat us and they beat Jamaica. And then they went on to beat down Trinidad and Tobago in the quarterfinals. So up to this point, Suriname were undefeated. And somehow, against all odds, our national men team survived the first 4 sets and split 2-2. So there you go, and we're moving into the 5th set. Whoever win this one win the game. Only 15 points. Would you believe that we open up with a running away 8-0 lead? Thanks to the consistent serving of one man, one Mr. Javon Sanders. Yeah, that's former national team players Jason and Kimmy Sanders' son. So while Javon served those 8 straight points, our backcourt defense and frontcourt blockers kept that great Suriname attacker shut right down. That was a feeling to behold in that gym that night. And in 2-4-2 fashion, we waltzed on to the championship match. Well, of course, we gave it our best again, but you know, we were just no real match for those bad boys from Curacao. Those guys didn't lose a single match in the entire tournament. So again, we should all tip our hats to the display of guts and determination from our national men's volleyball team in achieving the silver medal during the CVC last week. Well done, gents. Boy, you all made me proud. Now, back to some Maritime Matters. We came, we saw, we conquered. And I ain't talking about the men's volleyball team. Yes, dear listener, as it relates to the seismic shift in cruise ship pilotage in the Bahamas, we overcame. The implementation of the mandate that cruise ships utilize Bahamian marine pilots to moor at their private port facilities commencing on the 1st of September 2025 was realized yesterday. And this paradigm shift sets the tone for the employment of marine pilots yet unborn. So the efforts of our Minister of Energy and Transport, the Honorable Jobet Kobe Davis, the current port controller, Senior Commander Brian Wright, and the cabinet of Philip Brave Davis administration did not go down in vain. The marine pilots of this country, primarily brewed by Freeport Harbor Company and Buckeye Bahamas Hub, was successful in galvanizing the necessary personnel and marine equipment to meet this demand. So the cruise ships had no excuse. The pilots were there, they took them, they brought in the ships. And we bad like that. beautiful start. We owe a debt of gratitude, though, to the leaders of those entities, such as the port director, Mr. Orlando Forbes, and the lead pilot at Buckeye Pilots, Mr. Kyle Ward. That's Kyle Ward, my boy. Without the necessary leverage extended by these gentlemen, it would not have been so fluent. So henceforth, all cruise ships making port calls in the Bahamas, wherever they're going, will be required to take a local marine pilot, and we have them available and ready to go. So again, we have to thank our government entities that made that demand possible, and the pilots from those groupings in Freeport that materialized, caused everything to be materialized and happen yesterday, the 1st of September, and of course today and tomorrow and every day after that. Because as the cruise ships come in, we are there to dog them. You're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Tonight, we engage the topic surrounding cruise ships. And of course, this is a big, huge one. The delivery of those huge floating hotels continue to roll out. And various reception ports continue to protest their port calls. We shall further engage discussions on the latest from our domestic maritime front. So the discussion surrounding these topics should include the following. Jet ski accident claimed the life of an American tourist. This is just last week. An American tourist somewhere near between Paradise and Athol and Salty Key and them places up there got in a accident and lost his life. He was on a jet ski. Somebody else was in a boat. How it happened? We have yet to find out, eh? BASRA, second topic. BASRA is hosting a safety at sea event for this coming Saturday. I have some questions about that. I have some big questions about that. And after the break, those questions are going to be laid out. And I wish some of you can call in and shed some light as to why BASRA is doing things the way they're doing them. I mean, I think it's a good gesture, but they're leaving out some things that we gotta look at. Our third item for the night would be the HMBS Derwent Knowles. You know, that's one of our sandy bottom ships where we roll out over $200 million to purchase a series of ships and expand a series of port facilities dredged and developed. And so this is a relatively new ship as far as I'm concerned. It can't be 5 years yet, right? And so if you got this ship crashing into a jetty in Inagua, we need to know the details of how this happened. Yes, according to a release from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, some investigations is underfoot. And it has been said that the propellers of the HMBS Derwent Knowles, so Derwent, that's who I train under with my piloting. They said that the propellers are what you call CPPs, or controllable pitch propellers. And when the instructions was given for the propeller to back up, the pitch went forward instead of coming back. Now, I don't know if that's the way it happened, but that's what has been poured out to us to understand. So we'll have to see in the long run exactly if that's the way it is, or maybe could it be. And I don't want to insinuate on this, right? Because I don't even know who the captain is. I assume it's somebody who knows this doing. Because back in the day when we were captains, we had a lot of good captains. We had some that wasn't so good too. But we had a lot of good captains, right? And it's very difficult for me to comprehend that a captain would say, pitch 3, When you mean back 3. You see, I've been doing a lot of conning on ships. I came up under the great Sir David Knowles, as I said. And two of the ships that we always, Sir David really was the person bringing in every time they come to Nassau, were the Carnival Fantasy and the Carnival Ecstasy. And they were both controlled with pitch propellers. And you got to be extremely accurate in your instructions. When you want the vessel to be going ahead, you ask for pitch 3, pitch 4, pitch 2. When you want the vessel to be operating under stern propulsion, as we call it in rules of the road, you ask for back 2, or back 4, or back 3. So if you say pitch 3 and you want the ship to stop or start operating astern, you can speed up and go ahead more. Anyway, I ain't trying to insinuate on what's going down with those CPPs, but I think it's owed to us, the Bahamian people, because our money, we spend a lot of money on those ships. And I never said that the vessel went to Fort Pierce, I think it is, over the summer holiday, like 2-3 months ago, to have that very same item taken care of. Now, maybe there's a reoccurrence, which seemed to be the case, but need to know the details. Now, to our cruise ships. We're going to talk about Princess Cruises, which is owned, of course, by Carnival. Those who don't know, the P&O Princess Cruises, they're owned by Carnival. Carnival bought them out years ago. But the Star Princess, and this is one of the largest. Well, this is going to be match the largest cruise ship from the Princess Cruises fleet. 178,000 gross tons. Huge. They are going to be delivered, if not this month, well, if not last month, then this month. They're about good to go, right? The Star Princess. And then, of course, we have the Star of the Seas by Royal Caribbean International. Now, Royal Caribbean owned the largest, about 10 of the largest cruise ships in the world. That's going huge. Royal Caribbean don't play, But this one called the Star of the Seas is going to be the biggest one ever. And this should be rolled out this month as well. The Star of the Seas, 248,663 gross tons. Almost 250,000 gross tons. Huge. Of course, this is from the Icon class, which is the largest cruise ship ever built prior to now. Then Disney, they don't want to be left behind. They're rolling out the Disney Destiny, which was being built from mid last year. And the Destiny is going to be coming our way with 144,000 gross tons. Notice 144,256 gross tons. It basically not very large compared to those ones that are over 200,000 gross tons. But these are huge ships. And Disney got another one called the Disney Adventure. Now, this one was not built for Disney. When they bought this is already built. And when it was built, it was supposed to be the ship that carries the most passengers in the world. Because they were supposed to carry 9,500, almost 10,000 passengers, and another 2,000 crew. And this is that big one that the Genting Group, and we can talk about it after the break, right? But Disney bought it, and it's 206,000 gross tons. So this is the first Disney ship that is over 200,000 gross tons. And only two companies so far before this one with Disney has ships over 200,000 gross tons. Carnival even ain't got no ship over 200,000 gross tons. So that ain't no small feat to surmount, eh? And then we can talk a little bit about, if you get time, because I know we have some calls about some of these things, right? the cruise industry sues Hawaii over what they call the grain fee. So Hawaii wants to implement some taxes on cruise ship, saying they want give them some tax because they're bringing in people and they trying to do the go green thing. The cruise ships are contributing to the taking away from their ability to keep it green. And the cruise ships have a problem with that. Of course, cruise ships have a problem. Anytime you want money out of them, they can't afford with us when it comes to mooring these cruise ships to their private hands because they know that was an aisle all along. They was just getting away all this time. Thank God for the Honorable Jobed Kobe Davis and Senior Commander Brian Wright. Because boy, look here, for too long they've been getting away with this, and now they have been roped in, so they ain't got no problem with us. Because we're going to say the same thing. They suing the Bahamas government over this. But they know they ain't got no foot to stand on. Because they ain't like they like us. We know. We like them, but they ain't like they like us. All these cruise ships try to do is make as much money as they could. But they need ports like us. And when they get their little private island, oh man, you know how much money they make? Because they own everything in there. And them guests be able to spend the money like mad. And we want to talk a little bit about the impact of cruise ships on the Bahamas. We know that cruise ships are a big deal, but we only get cruise ships on about half, not even half of our islands. About 20% of our islands in this country got, what 20%? All that? Was only Nassau and Freeport, eh? We really got some work to do so that we could, every island in this country should have a dock where a cruise ship could be navigated in by a pilot. And we're working on that, right? So please, be sure to stay tuned as we delve into discussions on these maritime issues. We're talking maritime people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our voice break. And when we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussions. Listen, people, you do not want to miss this one tonight.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
No credit, no problem. No cash, no problem. No radio, problem. Love 97 FM, the Bahamas hits and oldies station.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching.
Welcome back. You are listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. 5 o'clock in the evening, every Tuesday, here on Love 97 FM. The primary purpose of our show is to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. The phone number to call us, should you wish to get in on discussion during the show, is 326-8255. That's 326-8255. To hear a replay of the show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up at any time via our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just like I say, I love you. Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just go to YouTube on your electronic device and type in the search box Maritime Matters Bahamas, and you will see a litany of our past and previous shows. And I think this one tonight will probably pop up first. Well, if you give us a chance to load it afterwards. So by 9-10 o'clock tonight, you should be good to get the show again, and you could listen to it anytime you want once you get to our YouTube page. So let's talk maritime. Now for the hot topics we sought to engage tonight. We are going to start on, and again, feel free to call anytime at 326-8255. Jet ski accident claimed the life of an American tourist. You know, short weeks ago, we got a report from the U.S. Coast Guard pertaining to a teenager being killed on one of our cruise pleasure vessels that do tours, right? And that report went into a lot of depth and details. And there was a lot of things missing from that report because the Coast Guard said they didn't have access to get certain information. So here it is now. Last week, we had another day. And you know, I said a few weeks ago that this thing ain't gonna stop. This ain't gonna stop. Just like everywhere else in the world. You got tourists and people dying in America on jet skis. This ain't only something that is reserved for the Bahamas. But when they die on a jet ski in the U.S., how detailed is the investigation? From a maritime perspective. Now, we say the police investigation usually limited to ruling out criminal elements. The police want to know this somebody didn't deliberately go out there and kill this person, or somebody didn't drug this person up and set them up so they could be killed. The police just go out there to do police work. But which entity should be responsible for the marine casualty investigation? Because you have a casualty once you have a death. You have a casualty once a ship runs aground. You have a casualty once a ship have a big fire. These are casualties that should be thoroughly investigated by the state that has jurisdiction for what happened. In our case, the Bahamas. So which entity is responsible for ensuring that detailed investigation is done whenever there's a maritime casualty? We all know. Well, I've been singing it and preaching it now for years, and they always say, oh yes, we getting on the BMA. Yes, I get on the BMA because the Bahamas Maritime Authority has the obligation to this country, to this government, and to the people of this country to ensure that marine casualty investigations happening in the Bahamas are conducted on a timely, efficient, and effective manner. They do it whenever one of our ships, our 1,600 plus international ships have a marine casualty. They hire marine investigators to go and carry out to conduct casualty investigation and pay them for it. And they have a port state regime here in the Bahamas that has the capacity to do marine casualty investigations. So why aren't they being done on a timely basis, and why aren't the reports available for people to say, like, the Coast Guard is just let you see the report? They haven't died. The BMA, Bahamas Maritime Authority, where are they in times like these? Should we wait for another U.S. Coast Guard casualty investigation report due to the death of this American accidentally meeting his demise while doing pleasure activities in our country? Or should we beat them to the deal and reveal, have we do a thorough, because we need to know certain things, you know. We should want to know certain things. We should want to know who's in the wrong. Because if a yacht or any kind of vessel and a jet ski collides, now I don't know how it happened. I don't have no details whatsoever because they ain't put none in the press, and I got to speculate on this one, right? I don't like to speculate. But if somebody dies who's on a jet ski, there had to have been a collision. Whether the boat was stationary or whether the boat was moving, they had to have a collision. Whether the jet ski was stationary, whether the jet ski was moving, there had to have been a collision. So how that collision happened, we need to know. We also need to know how we could avoid a similar sort of collision in future. Could it be that the people who rented out the jet ski didn't give instructions well enough for the individual that's going to rent and operate the jet ski to understand what direction he should take or she should take when they get on the jet ski? Should we be renting out jet skis or boats, self-operated, to people that has no experience in being on the water, on any type of vehicle on the water? That's like you renting a car to a person who never drive a car. Should we require a certain amount of awareness training, even if it's watching a short clip movie before this person actually get on that jet ski to operate it? If they don't have any way of verifying that they've been on a jet ski or a vessel, or they own a vessel, you have to at least know some of the rules of the road. Eh? Show me some certificate, a copy of something to show that you understand what it is to be on the sea. Just like if you're in a car, you would know how to signal to make a turn. You would know which side of the street to remain on. You would know how to approach a roundabout. Before you could rent a car, you should know these things, eh? So you can imagine somebody going on a jet ski, never been on the sea in their life, but now they're on holidays and they want to go on this motorbike on the water and go fast. But they don't know that if you're on a head-to-head collision, both vessels should alter course to starboard to avoid that collision. They don't realize that if you're in an overtaking situation, you should remain clear of the vessel that is being overtaken. They know none of this. I don't even know if the people who rent the jet ski know some of this stuff. But anyway, my pet peeve here is, and let's go to the port department, because the BMA don't rent jet skis, the BMA don't register jet skis, the BMA don't deal with that type of thing, eh? So the port department, who basically responsible for issuing licenses under the Jet Ski Act, used to be the Boat Registration Act, now they have their own act, needs to ensure that systems are in place to ascertain that the person going on this death trap, because that's what it is if you don't understand how to handle it, at least understands that this could be a death trap, and you need to understand these basic things before you go on this high-speed vehicle on the water. No calls yet? Nobody out there from the port department? Anybody out there from the port department? I know you're listening. You're all the ones that have these jet skis operating. And I wouldn't say you're responsible for people dying on them, but can you verify that something is in place to try to curtail somebody getting on those jet skis without any kind of knowledge as to what the rules of the road might be and the speed and how to maneuver away from danger and that type of thing. Somebody from the port department got to know whether or not this is in place. And if it ain't in place, shame should be in your game. Be like Annie Mae. Annie Mae said, boy, ain't no shame in my game. Just let's address it. 326-8255. Call, please. Call. Now, since ain't nobody want to call on that one, let's see if BASRA can call. I want BASRA to call on this one. Anybody know anybody who works for BASRA or anybody who goes to BASRA to assess and this thing? BASRA is hosting a safety at sea event this coming Saturday out on Montague Beach. Now I read this in the papers. I know I didn't go because they don't invite me to London, right? And I really need to get invited. I'm a little busy. BASRA partnership with the U.S. Coast Guard and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. In this venture, when it comes to safety at sea. You believe that? The U.S. Coast Guard have absolutely no jurisdiction in this country pertaining to safety at sea within the domestic waters of the Bahamas. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force, while they have some responsibilities for search and rescue, they share no real obligation for safety at sea when it comes to vessels operating in this domestic Bahamas. Who the entities that have responsibility for safety at sea in this country? I will dare to say that the Port Department have some responsibility, because the Port Department does a safety inspection, right? It's just really, let me check to see if your nav light's working. Let me check your bilge pump. They're not really checking the details of the design of this vessel, whether they dry dock on time, whether they have service. They need to do a survey with the safety equipment to see. They don't know nothing about these things, and they're supposed to know, because they don't deal with the SOLAS Convention. They don't deal with the Caribbean Code stipulations. They don't deal with the small commercial vessel stipulations. This is the BMA. And based on these things, the BMA is supposed to issue a local safety certificate, which means they produced a series of guidelines for these vessels to be surveyed, to be issued this local safety certificate. Have they ever done it? No. And I ain't going to leave it alone, because they slack and they need to do better. They don't want to concern themselves with anything to do with domestic safety on the sea. Just like how they jump in to do this casualty investigation, and they should have done so already. I would like to know if they making any effort to do it so far. It might be a little late now. Eh? All the people who might could have given them information might be dispersed, and you can't even find them. But why is BASRA not engaging when it comes to safety at sea, the entity that is responsible for issuing local safety certificates for vessels at sea within the non-SOLAS vessels in the Bahamas? And what about inviting or partnering with the Port Department as well, who gives out registration for these vessels, and obviously supposed to ensure that before they even register them, they have a local safety certificate from the BMA or from a surveyor authorized by the BMA. See how slack we are? And they just think I'm getting on them, All these things are in the regulations. All these things are law. See, nothing Glenn Bain making up. I don't need to make up nothing. There's so much in them bucks. You'll be fool to try and make up something and ignore all that. There's just so much there that they're supposed to be doing that they are ignoring. Anybody know anybody work for the BMA? Call them and ask them if they get any shame, man. Call them. Ask them if they could call Glenn Bain's show one day and say, what are they doing about this local safety certificate? Because they're just getting away scot-free. I call the minister responsible name when it comes to making sure these cruise ships take pilot. But I must need to call the minister responsible name when it comes to making sure the BMA ensures that a local safety certificate is issued to every vessel that are non-solars operating in this country before they get registered. The minister shouldn't have to be involved in that. That's on the books. And I ain't gonna never let it go. So I wish my friend called and said, why are you on their case? Now, yes, I can stay on their case. 326-8255. Please feel free to call. Anybody from the BMA? Anybody from the Port Department? Or anybody who know any of them? Call them and ask them if they could call and shed some light on these things. Now we go to the great HMBS David Knowles. Anybody from the RBDF out there? I used to be on the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. I used to be working as deputy port controller in the port department. I used to be working as a senior nautical inspector with the BMA. I work in all these places, so I know what they're supposed to be doing, so that's why they can't call me. Because they know I know. Now, the BDF. Excuse me. And good night to you, Commodore Floyd Moxie. I don't know if you're listening, but if you're listening, somebody must need to give you a call and say, boy, CDF, this fella Glenn Bain, he trying to shabby our operation. But I know Floyd very well. Floyd knows me very well. Good guy. Good guy. Decent people. But Floyd, you know, me and you need to talk. We got to start doing some things to make sure some things are happening in the BDF, like certification, like preparing our people before they retire from that organization to be certified either in the deck area or the engine area, wherever they were working. We need to hire some civilians and get some of those people out of those office who getting all this promotion and ain't never lift a finger to go on no ship, to go to sea. That's where we need to go. Oh, we got a phone call coming in. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, man. You doing a great job. You on target. Listen, I keep wondering why the government spent millions of dollars to do our key by the bridge, putting the bridge there, and these people are bringing in all these old, broke down, rotten boats, and they're all sinking out in the harbor, and it costs thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to move, and look like the government don't care.
That's what it is.
Bringing them and dumping them down in the place, and not only that, the hierarchy where the port is there. All them people using up all the government property. I think they pay no money.
Yeah, but everything, all of what you're talking about, sir, all of what you're talking about is legislated for the port department to be doing. You know, boats supposed to be sitting on that dock that is unoperational. You know, boats should be sitting there where operational boats supposed to be coming in. You got some boats that don't belong to the mail boat service. Plenty of them. That area, all them fishing boats, that's supposed to be mail boat areas. They need to put some more docks there because the mail boats are changed from using cranes to lift cargo on and off to rolling containers on and off. So they now need to spread that dock out where they have more ramps for boats to actually utilize, roll on and roll off.
If I may say something else, at the eastern end of the dock, there was a big container boat came in, which I think hardly ever did anything at all, and it's sunk right there. And it's still there. It's been in there for about 6-8 months or a year.
Oh, that did a lot of things before it sank, but it was sitting there for years before it sank because it couldn't move. It was inoperable, and again, the port department have a building right out on the dock called the dock master's office, right next to where the barge was sank.
Do anything. The next thing is the captain Dean been there for 10 years sitting down. How come they own the dock?
Which captain?
Captain Dean boat, the mail boat Captain Dean. That been a dog that's sitting down there for anchored up or tied up for years.
About 1,000 of them.
Own the dock.
They ain't get 1,000, right? But many of them, if you go back to the days of once when you go out there and you drive straight out and you leave the exchange on the left hand side and you go straight out there, all them boats from that point getting left.
Yeah.
They ain't moving decades. And then you got tugboats out there. Why would a tugboat be the Portuguese dock?
Yeah,
right?
well,
and they taking up a whole heap of space.
Continue to voice your opinion. Probably somebody would be listening who would do something about it.
My brother, they listening, but whether they can do something about it or not, I could guarantee you that if it doesn't come from, I want to say the minister's office, but I would go as far as saying the cabinet office. Because see, a lot of these people got big ties with politics. And when you got a port controller and a deputy port controller who ain't got no big ties with politics, to the extent these people, they could walk in the Prime Minister's office and announce in some cases. How you could tell them they get moved boat? You understand what's going on now?
I hope a change comes soon.
Boy, I don't know how you could change that, because these fellas got them wrapped up on two sides. But we the people got to keep pointing it out.
Afternoon and keep fighting.
Yeah, man. Anyway, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate you calling, and I understand what you're feeling, because I feel the same thing. Yeah, that call is pointing out the fact that we got all these, it's the deadbeat dad when anything going to get children, deadbeat boats at Porter's Key. Which shouldn't be there. And they were there for years, and in some cases decades. And we had this discussion over and over again. So, and you know, when you get to know these situations and because, you know, saying the Commander Brian Wright is my boy. I ain't telling no lie. That's my boy, right? And he been trying hard. They've been trying hard to arrest the situation to a small extent. But it's so difficult. Because some of the people you're dealing with, some of the people who taking advantage of this and getting away with it, they have deep ties with the politician. And I remember a situation when I used to work as deputy port controller. We had situations on Prince George Wharf with taxi drivers. These brothers wasn't ruling. They want do whatever they want to do, go out on a cruise ship here, and this before ISPS, so they can go straight to the gangway of the ship and even walk up the gangway without security having to check them or stop them or not allow them or anything. It's long before that, right? Some of them had so much deep ties with the politicians, PLP and FNM, that you go and you try and put them in line. You could be getting a call in a little while. Why are you fooling with my general? Why are you this? And you explain it to the politician, they be like, yeah, well, you know, they got to make a living, they got to do this, it's like the politicians don't even want them to behave. So it's not an easy fix, people. And this country is so far gone that I don't know what it will take to have these situations arrested from the view of the politicians not harnessing these people, not hugging them and telling them, don't worry, they can't bother with you. Because that's what's going on. Anyway, we were talking about the Defense Force and the HMBS, David Knowles, and the things that we started to talk about. My good friend Floyd Moxie, the Commodore, CDF, Commander Defense Force, you have taken over from Commodore Raymond King. who I think did a very stellar job, and I'm looking forward to saying the same thing for Floyd Moxey at the end of his tenure. But Floyd, we got to talk. We got to engage some things. Look at some direction, and you could let me know basically, some things I probably don't about the way forward for personnel in the Defense Force. We got a lot of hardware. We spent over $200 million on hardware just a couple of years ago. Now when me and you was still young in the force, we had that kind of hardware. We had boats we had to patch up and keep going. But now you got a lot of hardware. You don't want vessels to be breaking down docks in Inagua. And I'm not saying that it couldn't have been an honest defect or deficiency that caused that to happen. But there's still a possibility in my mind that could have been a human error. And I want to get that out of my mind. Because as I recall, when I was in the job, whenever we entering a port, we had something we call Procedure Alpha. In other words, you prepare that vessel to enter that port, bearing in mind that you may have an emergency. And in that emergency, you have that anchor or both anchors. You usually have one on the slip. It's not even, everything that loose and the weight of the anchor is on the slip. And once you hit that slip, that anchor drops. And Floyd, I know you ain't been to sea plenty like me, right? But that was our procedure. You would prepare that anchor so that if you try to get that throttle to go astern and the engine shuts out or something go wrong, you drop the anchor, stop the boat from going forward. Now, I am very familiar with the basin in Inagua, right? And most people who have spent years at sea like me as a captain would be very familiar with the basin at Inagua. And you know that you're going into a basin, something that you have to stop, otherwise you'll crash. So we need to know if Procedure Alpha is still being carried out every single time these vessels trying to go into port. Where the anchor, the weight of the anchor is on the slip, so that you only gotta hit that bottom slip and boom, anchor drops. And if the vessel is not, well, this look like a little difficult situation here, because they're saying when they try to get the pitch to go in the stern, the pitch went in the head. And like I say, there's a slim difference between saying pitch 3 ahead and back 3. Because we never say pitch 3 astern, back 3. We don't know what Defense Force uses. This is what we use on a cruise ship with the pilots, eh? I don't know what Defense Force uses. Because when I was in the force, we ain't had no CPPs. We had no controllable pitch propellers on none of the vessels. But in any case, are they doing drills pertaining to pitch propeller failures? We need to know. And if they aren't, then let's start doing it. And you know, we need to get to the stage with those Defense Force vessels where we are having them audited on an annual basis, where we are having them surveyed on an annual basis as well. Because, you know, in the military, they don't have to get no license, they don't have to get no registration. No Defense Force boat have to be registered. No Defense Force boat ever inspected from the outside. No Defense Force boat ever surveyed from the outside. And I don't think they should be surveyed from the outside. I think you should have internal personnel on the force who are surveyors. And this is why you need to tie that Defense Force together with the port state inspection regime. Because those are the ones who do small boat surveys, those are the ones who do big ship inspections. And the US, all the maritime safety office are run by Coast Guard personnel. You got Coast Guard personnel inspecting cruise ships. And I have worked with them for 6 months, so I can tell you. Coast Guard person inspecting tankers, inspecting container ships, inspecting small boats like Betty K and Tropical, and yeah, we used to do all of them. Who do you think is inspect them on an annual basis from the U.S. perspective to see if they're safe to be going to sea? Who do you think could detain them if something is out of order? Excuse me. Well, I can't tell you the Coast Guard is survey them, right? Because they're all classed. They have to be surveyed by the Classification Society and all the rest of that. But Coast Guard tell them, you have to call your Classification Society to fix this. And until that fix, you can't move. And this is how it works. So, Brother Commodore Moxie, please, reach out to the Bahamas Maritime Authority. Speak with Captain Dwayne Hutchins because he knows these things. And make a suggestion that you have on a rotational basis at least 2 commissioned officers and 4 senior rates working along with the port state regime so they could expand. And they could now those people will learn how to do these casualty investigations. Those people will learn how to do ship inspections. They will understand the Caribbean Code, how it have to be applied. They will understand the SOLAS, how it have to be applied. The MAPOL, how it have to be applied. The STCW compliance. See, because none of these documents, publications apply within the Defense Force. So, as a Defense Force officer of 13 years, seagoing experience, I didn't have a clue what SOLAS was, or what MAPOL was, or what SCCW was, or what load land and tonnage and how safety equipment is supposed to be deployed on vessels based on those conventions. How to fight a fight. Mind you, I learned how to fight a fire when we've been to Portland for the Port Nelson and the Yellow Ella and the Samana. And that was the only time I ever really engaged firefighting suits and closing up engine rooms to fight a fire on board a ship. And that wasn't done from a certification perspective. That was just done from a wake-up perspective. So we need those things to be the standard in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And you're not going to get them to be the standard unless you tie in with the BMA, where they have a big technical team in London and they're going through surveys of ships. Those 1,600 ships they got in the BMA. I remember I went over, I used to work in the London office. At least once a year they would call me over when people taking vacation to work with the technical team to say, Captain Bain, we need you to be exposed to what we do. And I was so thankful for it, right? And I don't know if that still happens with the people here, the nautical inspectors in the port state regime, right? But that gave me the opportunity to review surveys, review audits for ISPS. Well, ISPS didn't exist then, did it? But ISM certainly did. Those are 2 things you do audits for. Surveys by the different classification societies for whatever type ships. We'll go through them and see if they're being followed up. And this is how I got to see how they're really supposed to be done. So you're not going to get exposure to the international maritime regime, the merchant, the commercial maritime, if you stay within the Defense Force. Because Defense Force are not required to comply with any of that stuff. So Brother Moxie, we need to talk. I've had this discussion with Commodore King. I've had this discussion with Commodore Tellis Bethel. But the needle didn't really move. We need that needle to start moving. We need to get our defense force a professional organization with professional certification for the maritime industry. When people leave the Coast Guard, you know how much entities of there want them to be a part of their team because they know this guy was doing checks and balances and making sure my boat up to standard. And I want you to know that in Coast Guard they study and discuss the application of SOLAS and MARPOL and STCW and all the rest of those conventions that those ships are required to be in compliance with. They don't just go there shooting off the whim what you know. No, they discuss these things on a routine basis. So that all parties working in that area will get a beneficial, complete understanding and benefits of being able to apply these things. Anyway, no more preaching. We want to make sure that not only HMBS doing NOLS, but all the vessels in the Defense Force are incorporating Procedure Alpha before they enter any port. And they have that anchor ready. And they have the fella on the forecastle with the maul ready to snap that ball and screw slip. Ready to snap that not the ball and screw, but the one. I get a little old now. I can't remember all them things, right? But you know what I'm saying. So that the anchor could just drop. That's really what you got. That's all you got. If everything else failed, because a ship could black out anytime. And we don't want Defense Force ships blacking out upon approaching ports and end up running things over and messing up the ship and costing us all kind of money. Drop the anchor. Okay. Let's move to the cruise ships. Lord, we ain't got much time left, but we can see what we could do, right? Should we take a little break? I think we should take a little break. We can take a little break now, and when we come back from the break, we will get into the cruise ship. You're listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. With me tonight is Mr. Craig Gibson, our wonderful producer. We shall be back shortly.
At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And, we have a hot one tonight, as usual. If you want to reach us along the way, 326-8255 is our phone number to call. 326-8255. Feel free to call at any time. We welcome your call. Now we move to our cruise ships. Tonight we've been discussing quite a few things. We talked about the jet ski accident that happened. We want to know when we're going to have some investigation into that to determine exactly what took place. How what could happen so that we could avoid an incident like that in future, if anything. But you ain't gonna know unless we investigate, eh? BASRA is hosting a safety at sea event for Saturday. They're partnering with the RBDF and the U.S. Coast Guard. They ain't say nothing but the Port Department. They ain't say nothing but the Bahamas Maritime Authority. So I don't know if BASRA is aware that safety at sea really comes under these two entities more so than the RBDF. And the U.S. Coast Guard has no jurisdiction in this regard. But they did help us when we request, eh? HMBS Derwin Knowles, they crashed into the jetty in Inagua. Oh, we got a phone call. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, don't call my name, Glenn. You know what I mean? You know who I am.
But you call my name.
I know. I got things to say to you. And I need the Bahamas to hear what I have to say.
Yes,
now, you know me? And guess what? My name is Mr. X.
I hope you was keeping tab on what we talking about and they ain't trying to carry me in another direction.
No, I understand what's going on.
Okay.
If you don't understand what's going on here in the Bahamas, you see all the suspicious deaths that take place in the Bahamas, especially of that new Celebration Key.
They had people die at Celebration Key?
Drownings, brother.
I heard about one. I heard about one incident happened at Celebration Key. They had more than one?
It was more than one in one day.
They had more than one in one day.
I know people who work there.
So why is that happening? Why you think that happening?
But I need to ask you, because you is a professional law enforcement man. I need to ask the rest of them who are law enforcement people. And I mean, I can only assume that there is a greater thing behind a 71-year-old man and a 70-some-old lady and the rest of them, because they may have things back home and they say the Bahamas is a slack place. They ain't got the jurisdiction to investigate, and they can get away with murder here in the Bahamas. What you saying?
Well, I mean, if it happened on Celebration...
Me, man, because I hear you talking about this accident, next accident, and enough enforcement and things. I could bring you right back into what you were saying all day. I was sitting back listening to you.
But I talking about accidents at sea. When you talk about something happen on Celebration Key, that's a police matter. That ain't happen at sea. That ain't no maritime matter.
It's in the water.
Yeah, but that water is on land.
Wait, one on the beach. One on the beach.
The beach is on land. The beach is not
in the water.
Yeah, but the beach is on land.
Wait, one happened in the pool and one happened in the water.
Okay, the pool don't have nothing to do with maritime. The beach don't have nothing to do with maritime. We talking about at sea on a boat. No. We have no law. We have no law pertaining to safety on the beach.
See, that's it right now. That's it right now with me and you. You understand what's going on here? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that happen in the Bahamas. You know why it happened in the Bahamas? Because the Bahamas don't have the power, or the Bahamas don't show, you know what I mean, what they can do when it comes to investigation. They just really and let things happen here.
Yeah, but
that's
King,
why they know they can come here and do what they feel like doing.
But King, you could only apply your law to things, you know. If you don't have law pertaining to what happened on the beach, outside of the penal code or anything, but nobody can apply nothing. You ain't got nothing to apply. Which law you have that speaks to a death happening on the beach?
All right, good. Let's move away from deaths and let's look at other things.
All right, now you're talking.
Let's look at other things. How could Americans come inside here and vacuum pack 1,000 pounds of fish every day and carry them back to America?
Because we have the enforcement in place. You think if someone tried that in the U.S., they can get away with that? Coast Guard could be on them. What happened to enforcement?
Listen to me carefully. It happened with someone who was in the American embassy, and they had to take his boat the other day. He was down there in the southern Bahamas, you know what I mean, with all this fish this way and the next way and the next way and things like that, and then the Americans just wipe it over, you know what I mean, like it was like nothing.
Yeah, but it ain't up to the Americans to apply the law to that person. Americans can't apply our law. We gotta apply it. Now, where the people from?
He was working in the American embassy. He was a boy.
I don't care who the person is. All I'm saying is we have laws, and if they break the law, it's up to us to apply it.
No, but he break the law.
Which law he break?
Who got the balls? Who got the balls to bring the law down on an American guy who working in the American embassy in the Bahamas? Does the defense force they used to work before? Do you know the force who work there now? You know what I mean? To bring the law down on them?
My brother, defense force brings the law. When I used to be at sea, if I find any...
I talk about you now. You ain't there no more. You can't do what you got to do.
Yeah, but I can only talk about what I know defense force does. They bring the people in and put them in the court. Now, if the court let them go free, and then defense force could do it.
Listen to me carefully.
That's all defense force could do, you know. We bring them in, we write our reports, and we turn it over to the courts. We can't do nothing else.
Listen to me. Check the immigrants that come from down south. You know what I mean? They got this one fella named Barbecue. He been in the Bahamas about 1 million times, and they send him back to Haiti. You know what I mean? Maritime. What's going on there?
But what you want us to do if the fella ain't break no law in the Bahamas? You know any law he break in the Bahamas where we could have locked him up?
Yes, illegal landing.
Man, everybody come here.
No, you know everybody, man. That's the law.
All right. The majority of them who come here came illegally. My thing about illegal landings and people in the Bahamas is we really shouldn't allow them to see. We can't stop them. You can't stop your neighbors from coming.
Listen, listen, you my boy. Tell the Bahamas the truth. Tell the Bahamas what you think should happen.
What you think should happen with who?
When these people break the law coming here.
The only thing I think should happen is we need to make sure they can't get no work here. Then they can find their way back out.
Oh, so who?
That's what I think needs to happen.
When the people of the life of the key hiring nannies from the Philippines because of their skin color, hiring people from all the places with these wait, do you think that we need to put something in the life of the key
no sir, you gotta remember these people hold on. Are these people working illegally or do they have work permits?
Listen to me carefully.
No, I want you to answer me.
Work permit or you ain't gonna...
I want you to answer me. Do they have work permits or are they working illegally?
I talk about people who listen to me.
I want you to know that those other color people in life who work in there have work permit. Now we gotta deal with our system that is issuing the work permits to them. That's where we need to go. That's government. We need to deal with that.
We need to put the Bahamas in place to make sure these things happen.
Yeah, but my point is be a little slack. You know I always talk about how slack we is, right?
Oh, but guess what? We can't be slack. You know what I mean? You're a man who's on defense force and it should be the letter when you was there.
Yeah, that's I say slack. I say the people in place and position slack. The people who are actually allowing these people to come in and get work permit. They're the people who slack.
Right now over there.
Who?
Are they your friends over there now? See, because Brain, listen to me carefully.
I believe the people in defense force.
If I had to lead a revolution, I don't want to do it because I want to be honest and I want to be
No, we ain't lead no revolution unless we have a cause and
we got a cause to lead a revolution because
what is the cause?
Right now they're stronger than us.
What the cause is? What cause you got?
They said they're stronger than us.
Well, they can say that. That doesn't mean that. I'm not gonna go there and lead a cause because someone say something. I know we stronger than them. We got all the authorities. We got all the ammunition.
Stronger than us.
My brother, they can say whatever they want to say. They can say whatever they want to say. If they're stronger than us, that means they got bigger forces than us, and I know that in the case, right?
Between me and you right now, right? Where are these passports coming from that they say the Bahamas government is selling?
Well, you got to blame the people in the government that are causing passports to be sold.
Ben, listen to me carefully. A fraudulent experience doesn't even have to start from the government, bro. You know what I mean? Because the Chinese right now has infiltrated the American water cycle, different cycles in America.
I don't know any facts pertaining to what the Chinese do in America, but I know one thing. Our situation here is we got some of our authorities who are actually allowing and helping these things to happen. So we need to flush ourselves out.
How we can do it, Ben? Ben, give me an idea. Okay, use a show. Okay, in this show, give us an idea in the Bahamas so we can start today. Because I got 3,000 men right now ready to start something.
Well, you ain't. I don't know. I don't know what you gonna want to start, right? But we start with our laws. First of all, we need to start by.
I got 15 lawyers, and then I got other people who is willing to start something to put the Bahamas where it need to be right now. Because guess what? Right now we got people who are infiltrating us. We got people right now who is playing games with us, and we are no one to play games with, because guess what? You can't go around certain Bahamians and play with them, because guess what they will do? They will show you what Bahamians all about.
My brother, we have a framework in place that is put there so that we can abide by, and once we violate our own framework, I don't know what you or me or anybody else could do.
Who violate our framework? Who violate our framework?
We the Bahamian people are violating our own framework.
How are we doing it, Ben? Tell me how
we're doing it by not enforcing what we have in place.
Ben, say it. Say it on the air.
I am saying to you, we're doing it by violating what we have in place. And I don't know what you're trying to fish out of me, because I
no, Ben, this ain't no joke. This ain't no joke.
Man, it gotta be a joke, because you sound like you're trying to fish something out of me with it in there.
Ben, listen to me carefully. You know the way I go. Okay? And you know the way Bahamians go. Bahamians don't play with people who playing around with their sovereignty.
All I can tell you is we have the laws on the books. We don't need no more laws. We need to enforce what you have on the books. And until we find a way to enforce what on the books with what we have in place. Now remember, these officials come from you and me, my house and your house, you know. You know, foreigners in these places.
Not my house. They can't come from my house.
But you don't, well, you... No. Okay. They don't come from your house because you don't have a Bahamian house. They come from Bahamian houses.
Listen to me carefully. What I want to do right now, I want you to give the Bahamians something to look out for. Okay? How come all these Dominicans could come here and talk about they working on Bahamian boats? Who is doing that?
My brother, the laws are there to protect us. The fishery laws. What you mean with laws? The fishery laws and the immigration laws are there to protect us. Now, if we're going to violate our own laws because we want a couple dollars or whatever the case is, you can't. Hold on, it ain't me or your job to enforce those laws, right? So if the people who job it is to enforce those laws are not doing so, there's nothing you or me can do.
Who are they to shorten the laws?
The person to work under the hold on. You got immigration officers that are obligated to carry out the Immigration Act. You got fishery officials that are obligated to get every department have an act to work by. See, I work in government for a long time, right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if you're not enforcing the laws that you hear me keep calling the BMA name, but this local safety certificate. Why do you think I'm doing that? Because they're obligated by law.
Listen to me, Ben.
And it's still ain't happening.
Let me give you some credit, okay? You know what I mean? See, because guess what? You know, I ready to dig you up, but I want to give you some credit.
I don't care about the credits, but I'll take them from you. Go ahead.
Okay. I am glad now that Bahamian pilots are piloting these multi-billion-dollar ship explorations in the Bahamas. We need more Bahamian law enforcement in terms of customs and the rest there is to go to these islands and not let these ship people do what they got to do, because guess what?
We covering all of them now, you know. They're not taking their ships anywhere on their own anymore. We have pilots everywhere to do it.
Not only pilots, Joe. Not only pilots.
What you talking about?
All these pilots, on top of pilots and stuff coming inside here, do we have enough people to have an eye on what's supposed to come to the Bahamian people in terms of like custom fees and stuff like that coming in the Bahamas? Because guess what? They may say they're coming in today. And 2 days before or 3 days before, they bring us up in the island and you don't know.
Well, my brother, if they could do that, I guess that happened worldwide. If they could do that and you don't know, it's nothing you can do.
No. We need more eyes on the ground than that. You understand where I'm coming from?
I don't understand where you're coming from. You can't put me in that. I see the cruise ships coming in. We got the pilots to bring them in. We have a law mandating that pilots bring them in. That is now happening. That has not happened in decades. So I can only give kudos to the Minister of Transport and the Port Department, the Port Control and his team for making sure that happened, and give kudos to those up in Freeport Harbor and Barco who are actually galvanizing the pilots and the equipment to make sure this happens. So I think we've come a long way. I think they did a stellar job making sure this happened, and that's my position on that.
Good. Now, I see some fellas right now with this white man down in the Central Bar talking about he want to run for a seat down there. I think he's a spy.
Man, I ain't getting in no seat business and spy business, because that ain't sound like maritime to me.
You talk about carbon credits.
That ain't sound like maritime to me.
And he talk, listen to me. I need to bring it up right now, and I need you to keep talking about it.
Well, you only got 2 minutes left in the show.
The run for a seat in Bahamian politics, where it's a PLP seat, and it's a hands down win for him. I am not concerned about who hands down win. Okay.
Whoever the people put in the seat, I go along with the people. As been said from way back in the days of Celine Pinland, the voice of the people is the voice of God. So that's what we gotta go with.
If we don't fight for these Bahamas, we deserve to have it, right?
Absolutely. So let's fight. Let's continue fighting. And maybe that's why we're losing it now, because we fight not enough.
I had enough for you today.
Hey, thanks for your call, man. Continue to take care of yourself, and we'll keep in touch. King Arthur guy, stop, Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that kind of concludes our show for the night. Now, next week, I want y'all to sleep now. This Princess Cruises with Star Princess coming in. That's the largest cruise ship ever built in Italy. The Disney Destiny at 144,000 gross ton. She's the sister ship to the Disney Wish and the Disney Treasure. Her maiden voyage is the 20th of November. She could be sailing out of Lauderdale. The Disney Adventure, she's over 200,000 gross tons. That's the first Disney ship to go over 200,000. Well, actually, they didn't build that. They buy that one. The Genting Group had built that. That was supposed to be the largest. They carry 9,500 passengers. Most people any cruise ship ever carry, but they cut down some of those cabins, and they only be carrying 6,700. But that's a huge ship, and Disney's going to be operating out of Tokyo, out of Singapore with that one, and then later on in late 2029, they could be operating out of Tokyo as well. The cruise industry, well, okay, they're going to be suing the Hawaii officials for trying to put some taxes on them they want. Impact of cruise ships in the Bahamas. Well, we know the deal on that. We need cruise ships in a cruise ship could be accommodated in every island in this country, because every island has reserved the opportunity to have so many passengers coming in on a routine basis. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are fresh out. And as a matter of fact, we are a minute over, producer. My goodness, my producer is a good man. So I say to you, I am Captain Glenn Bain. We had another full show. Thanks to those callers. Thank you, listeners, for always following the show. We're going to put this one up on the YouTube page in the next 2 hours or so. Anime, I say good night to my Anime. Anime, your mouth get fixed soon. She soon put them gums back in, and she started chewing and mashing like she normally would, right? My producer for the night, Mr. Craig Gibson. Thank you so much for always being there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we say Maritime Matters. Tick, 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 tick. Out.
I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for. Look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
No credit, no problem. No cash, no problem. No radio, problem.